Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Generation Selects Takara Tomy more exclusive God Neptune, a figure which I've actually had for well over a month now. I've just been so reluctant to actually open this and review it, as for those of you who have watched my Piranacon / King Poseidon review, you will know that I was massively let down by that particular combiner, especially considering how much money I'd spent trying to locate all of the individually sold Seacons. I bought this set here in the hope of not only getting a really cool looking repaint of King Poseidon, this time done in his God Neptune colour scheme, but also with the hope that Takara Tomy would perhaps tighten up some of the tolerances and fix some of the issues that I originally had with the King Poseidon figure. However, upon looking at several reviews online, unfortunately it does appear as if though many of the problems that I had a massive issue with on King Poseidon are still apparent here with God Neptune. However, in today's review we're finally going to be cracking it open and I'm going to be seeing for myself as to whether or not those issues still occur. Now, for those of you who unfortunately missed out on the Hasbro Pulse pre-orders for the Seacons, this set here is probably your best bet in getting most of the Seacons in one collective set. Of course, we are missing the 6th member. We only get 5 Seacons here than as opposed to the 6 that we did get as part of the King Poseidon figure. However, for me, I always disregarded the 6th figure just as I'd never thought that it actually integrated too well with the robot, and having it act as a blaster made it so top heavy. So I'm actually grateful that we are only getting 5 Seacons in this set, and in my opinion, all of the ones here are the best out of the entire bunch. So taking a look here at the packaging, you can see that we've got an awesome schematic image there of God Neptune with all of the Seacons. I'm actually really looking forward to the Sila figure, I believe that's how you pronounce it, one of the female Seacons. I do believe that this is one of the only figures in this set that has some slight retooling done to her, maybe a new head sculpt. However, of course, we will bring out some comparisons between the original Piranacon and compare them here with the God Neptune, and just removing the front sleeve here so that we can see as to what awaits us inside. This box here is absolutely massive, so I'm trying my best to do it as elegantly as possible, although failing rather miserably at it. Just pull this entire sleeve section here off, and here we have the Transformers Generation Selects God Neptune box art. You can see that once again it is just merely Transformers Generation Selects, and we are now opening this set here for the first time on the channel to see what awaits us inside. And whoa, my goodness, these repaints certainly have turned out a lot better than I initially suspected, especially where the green colour variation is concerned. So you can see that all of the Seacons do indeed come in their sea creature modes. Something which I was really worried about on this particular set was how the white plastic was going to look. I was hoping that it would not look nowhere near as bad as what we got on Apeface and even to some degree on Snapdragon. Looking at it here, it does look slightly better in hand. However, here for Sila, this here looks a little bit too much like Snapdragon's plastic in my opinion. So first impressions are certainly that it does look impressive, and of course, as mentioned previously, if you did miss out on any of the original Hasbro Pulse pre-orders, this set here at the moment is probably the more readily available option for you, and you can see that they are all a great bunch of figures. So without further ado, I'm going to crack them out of their clamshells and take a closer look at them, and then of course compare them to their original versions. And so here we have the members of God Neptune opened up and out of their packaging, and of course as they come packaged here in their sea creature alt modes. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with these characters, these are basically space pirates who I believe appeared in the Beast Wars 2 continuity, and unlike some of my initial presumptions, despite them sharing the same molds and the same character design, they are completely different characters, which I wasn't aware of at all. Kicking things off, we'll first of all take a look here at the leader of the group, Hardshell. Once again, this is just a direct reuse of Turtler, which I believe was a heavy retool of a already previously released figure, but you can see here that we do have some fantastic sculpt work as well as paint applications going on here for the head sculpt. Something which I must point out is that if you are not a fan of the colour of white plastic that they have used, then you're probably not going to want to pick this set up whatsoever. It is certainly an acquired taste in my opinion. It's not white like I would have liked it to have been. It is slightly more off-white, very similar to the colour that we got with Snapdragon and in some instances even Apeface, but you can see that I have attached all of the accessories just to keep them in one place, as all of these figures here do come with quite a significant amount. You can see that taking a look at him here from a side perspective, we've got that really awesome mix here of the almost green colour scheme with the grey and of course the white, and as we take a look here at the back, we've got some nice paintwork going along here for the sides, just very quickly removing the weapons, which I must say I'm a massive fan of how the actual feet of the combined mode do form these machine guns here on the top. I think that that looks fantastic. So even in his almost turtle mode, he is still a force to be reckoned with, and you can see that we've even got these cannons here at the front, so certainly very heavily armoured. And as we just remove remove these here at the top, you can see that we do have some nice sculpt work. However, once again, this has been completely cast in that almost off-white plastic, so if you are not a fan of it, I don't think that you'll necessarily like this all that much. I must say, however, that the colour of green plastic that they have used is certainly the highlight out of this set for me. I think that this here looks absolutely terrific, and all of the combiner hands that we do actually get have been cast in a very similar colour to this. So in terms of articulation, his head here can hinge up and down. You can of course snap the jaw shut as well as open it, and I think the detail in there is really nice, especially where they've painted the tongue. We do get some ball joints here for these legs, so these can move forwards and backwards as well as hinge side to side. Unfortunately, we don't really get much articulation in terms of the torso. The legs here can move forwards and backwards. However, for turtle mode, that is pretty much it. In terms of a comparison, here we have him compared here next to Turtler. Now, once again, they are the exact same mold. However, I really do believe that the differences in paint applications certainly do make these characters appear as if though they are completely different to one another, which is of course truthful to the actual characterizations of these characters. You can see that the accessories are exactly the same. Something which is worth noting is that I have completely misplaced the actual chest plate here for Turtler, so I won't be able to show you a direct comparison between the two chest plates. However, I can assure you that in terms of comparisons, they are merely the exact same mold. It is just of course the color variation which is different. I will also be skimping over the transformations of these figures, as once again I have already gone into detail on the transformations, and seeing as we have 5 figures to go through, we'll be here pretty much all day if I was to go through all of the individual conversions. Taking a look here at Half Shell in his robot mode, once again very similarly to the original set of Seacons, I think that their individual modes were certainly the strongest. So despite me really liking the alt mode, and despite the robot mode also being equally as good and the joints feeling really tight, it could quite massively all fall apart literally when we do get them in the combined mode. So I won't necessarily jump the gun in stating that the quality is better on this figure just yet, but taking a look here at the details, I think that the head sculpt on this figure here looks absolutely fantastic. You can see that we've got the Predacon logo there on the center of his chest with some amazing gold and silver highlights there on the sides. As we take a look here at the arms, once again we do have a mix of the green and the white, and the blaster is just huge. I really wish that Takara Tomy would come out with some official form of configuration for this with all of the other weapons, as this is just completely loaded in ports, and in my opinion makes for a better weapon for the combined mode than the additional Seacon that we got for Piranacon. You can also see that we've got this awesome sword which has got some fantastic green plastic here as well as the gold paint applications. Taking a look here down to the lower section, something which is worth noting is that for the most part it has been cast out of this almost mix of green and blue, which once again I do prefer over the white. So certainly for robot mode I think that he looks best here. And just taking a look here at the back, I of course have the chest plate as well as the guns here, as I think that this is the better configuration. For articulation we get ball joint here at the head, ratchet joints for the arms due to them being the combiner hips. We also do get ratchet joints here out to the sides, hinge joints here for the elbows, as well as a ratchet joint here for the leg forwards and backwards as well as out to the side. Full 360 rotation here at the thigh as well as a 90-degree bend there at the knee. And then finally we do get hinge joints here at the foot, pivoting forwards and backwards, as well as of course rocking side to side. Very quickly bringing out Turtler here for a very quick comparison. Once again they are the exact same figure, it is just merely the paint applications which are different on them. However, I'm pretty much torn on this particular figure. I do love the way that the colour scheme looks here for Half Shell, despite me being a massive fan of the very vibrant colour scheme that we did get here with Turtler. So overall, in terms of robot mode as well as his turtle mode, Half Shell here certainly is a really nice looking repaint. However, of course we still have the combined mode left to go in order to determine as to whether or not this set is better than the original Takara Tomy Seacons. Next up, we'll take a look here at Culligan. This here was actually one of my favourite molds to come out of the original Seacons. I thought that Scalor/Golf looked absolutely fantastic, especially here in his alt mode, and you can see that the details once again still retain as this is the exact same figure. And I've got to say that in terms of paint applications, I think that this figure here has come out the best. You can see that we've got some fantastic metallic silver here for the arms as well as here for the fin, the top of the head as well as the teeth. These look very menacing, and I think that the sculpt work there is as ever crisp and correct. We've also got some nice details here of scales around where the eyes are, as well as the red paint application, which certainly does make this character here look incredibly formidable. And as we take a look here at the actual tail section, you can see here that the back fin here has also got some nice details such as the silver and the gold. So overall, in terms of paintwork here for Culligan, I think that he's come out really nicely. In terms of articulation, the jaw can of course open and close, the arms here can hinge forwards and backwards. The same can also be said here for these back legs, and you can also hinge this section here around due to this flipping around and being the blaster for the robot mode. In terms terms of a comparison here with Scalor, they are both, in my opinion, really nice looking figures. Something worth noting is that there is no Predacon insignia here for Culligan in his alt mode whatsoever, where there was a massive Decepticon insignia placed here for Scalor. So that, in my opinion, it does look slightly odd. So certainly a really nice looking figure, and once again, a very solid repaint. Taking a look here at him in his robot mode, once again, it is the exact same sculpt as what we got with Scalor. However, the paint variation is certainly very welcome. You can see that there for the head, it has been cast in an entirely white plastic with the red visor and the silver mouth plate. We've also got some nice shades of plastic here with the lighter shade of grey, as well as the gold painted sections here at the top. Silver here on the tops of the shoulders. You can see that once again the blaster is silver and gold, which I think looks awesome. As we take a look here at the lower torso, you can see some nice sculpt work going on there, especially here for the forearms there with the silver paint, and you've got the gold sword. Taking a look at the shins of the figure, personally my favourite aspect of this character's robot mode. Very bright, vibrant gold with some red and green paint apps, and overall it's a rather nice looking robot mode. No signs of the mold degrading with this. All the ball joints and hinge joints do feel very stiff. We also do get waist rotation with this figure, unlike Half Shell, where unfortunately he didn't have any form of waist rotation. Very quickly bringing out Golf here for a comparison, you can see that in terms of the colour, in my opinion, I do actually prefer the look of Golf. I think that he looks absolutely fantastic with the very vibrant blue and pink colour scheme. However, of course, this is accurate to the source material, as so is this, so it's really up to your own personal preference, and I guess I can't really argue too much in regards to the paintwork, as they both look exactly how they really should. But certainly a very nice looking figure, and at the moment the set for sure does seem as if though it is holding up. Next up, we've got here Terramanda. Now this is of course the repaint of Kraken, one of my favourites as well from the Seacon, so this figure here should certainly be a good one. Just removing the weapons here off of the top of the head. Once again, very similarly to what we got with Culligan, some amazing gold paint applications here for the front of the head. I think that the gold is certainly one of the main highlights out of this set for me, and I love the detail with the green and of course the red around the eyes. That is something that we appear to be seeing on the majority of these particular Seacon slash Predacons, and I think that Takara Tomy have done a really commendable job. You can see we've got some nice white paint apps here at the top sections of the head, as well as some gold sections here at the top sections of these wings, and I think that the sculpt work on this figure here has come out so nicely. This was certainly a very strong mould, and considering this figure, much like the rest of them, was a heavy retool of an already pre-existing figure, I think that Hasbro and Takara Tomy did a commendable job in really making a pre-existing mould something completely brand new. You can see that we've got some nice blasters here on the sides of the wings, and just bringing Kraken in here into the equation for a very quick comparison. Something which I'm quite surprised to see is that there are no Predacon insignias here in his alt mode, and the same can also be said here for the rest of them. The only one that does actually have a Predacon insignia in their C forms is Half Shell, so I'm not entirely sure if that's to do with him being the leader, but none of them here I can see at least have the Predacon insignia. But once again, very nice looking repaint, and this is one of the rare instances where I actually do like both of these figures equally. I think they're both very unique and awesome in their own regards. I think that the gold here on the rear end looks absolutely fantastic, and of course in terms of articulation, the wings can slightly pivot forwards and backwards due to the nature of the transformation. The legs are on hinge joints. Of course, we've got some nice silver there for the toes, and the actual stinger here of what I believe is the manta ray can also hinge forwards and backwards as well. So overall, a very nice looking figure. Let's get into the robot mode comparisons. Jumping straight here into Terramanda's robot mode, really nice look here for the figure, I've got to say. This paint deco certainly does complement the mold really well. I love the accessories also, such as this blade, which of course will form the larger trident, and we also do have a blaster which has got that amazing looking gold. I've got to say that I really do like the variety in paint applications. You can see that for the head it has been completely cast in a grey plastic, but we've got some amazing blue, which really to me helps the eyes to pop out from the rest of the sculpt. We of course do get the silver mouth plate there. No Predacon insignia for the chest section. I really think that that is a missed opportunity, and it looks rather plain. So something here I believe should have been stamped on, but we've got some nice silver here for the crotch section, and as we take a look here down to the lower section, these have been painted in that same green, red and gold. So overall, a really nice looking figure. Of course, in terms of articulation, ball joint here at the head, ball joints at the arm, swivel joints here at the bicep, 90-degree bend there at the elbow, full 360 rotation here at the waist, ball joints at the legs, which are very stiff. So certainly, once again, no evidence of the mold degrading. I'm really hoping that that's something that we can see when we do actually get these figures in the combined form. As mentioned earlier on in the review, that was one of the major complaints I had with the original King Poseidon. Bringing in Kraken here for a comparison, you can see that they are the exact same figure. It is of course just merely the paint differences. In terms of a personal preference, once again I've got to give it here to Kraken. I just love the vibrancy to the colour scheme. However, that is not to take away anything here from Terramanda. Of course, this is based once again on an entirely different character and an entirely different colour palette, so that really isn't a critique for the figure. It's just in terms of a personal preference, I much prefer the vibrant colour scheme here for Kraken. Taking a look here at the final two figures will of course kick things off here with Sea Phantom. Of course, this is the exact same figure as what we got here with Overbite. It is once again just the paint applications which are different. Taking a closer look here at the head sculpt, we once again have the mix of green and red for the eyes, which I think looks amazing. The gold here at the top. Once again, no Predacon insignia anywhere on this figure whatsoever. We've got some nice silver here for the tip of his tail. Of course, this figure is supposed to be a shark, and I absolutely love sharks, so certainly the alt mode here is a favourite of mine. Nice silver paintwork here for the teeth, as well as the red tongue, which I think looks really, really awesome. Of course, we've got some nice details here for the front sections of the claws. Some nice silver paint applications here on the sides, as well as here, of course, for the fins. And then finally, we've already taken a look here at the back. So definitely a cool figure in terms of articulation. We've got ball joints here at the back, ball joints here at the front, and the jaw can, of course, open and close. So without further ado, let's get Sea Phantom here into his robot mode. Sea Phantom's robot mode is, of course, the exact same as what we got with Overbite. However, in my opinion, he's got to be the weakest out of the entire God Neptune ensemble. I just really am not liking how this figure here looks in the robot mode. I think that the silver does not look all that great here when compared to the white, as there is just so much of it, and it definitely, to me, doesn't blend that nicely. I would have much rather had them use some of this green paint that we've seen on some of the other Predacons slash Seacons, put around about here for his torso, or maybe if they'd cast some of the plastic here in the green like we saw for Half Shell, I think that maybe would have made this character here look slightly better. But the head sculpt is, of course, exactly the same, with a silver mouth guard and some red painted eyes. We've got a gold chest plate here. Once again, no Predacon insignia, although we do have some nice gold there for the shoulders. We've got a really awesome looking blaster with some silver hands, silver lower torso area with the red and green there for the shins, and then taking a look here at the back, we've of course just got the shark head hanging out. Bringing Overbite here into the equation for a very quick comparison. Much more vibrant colour scheme here with this character, and in terms of a comparison between the two, and my personal favourite, it is of course Overbite. But the joints on this figure certainly do feel a little bit tighter than what we got with Overbite. For Overbite, the head of mine continuously wanted to fall off, whereas I have no issues with this particular figure whatsoever. So that does appear to me as if though they have tightened up some of the tolerances. However, of course, I'm sure we'll be able to tell more once we get him into the combined form. And so now, taking a look here at the fifth and final Seacon slash Predacon, here we have Sila, of course. This is the one that I'm pretty sure many of you are going to be looking forward to, as far as I'm aware, she is the only female team member in this particular set, and I do believe that she does have a brand new head sculpt in her robot mode, which will be one of the only newly tooled pieces for this particular set. As we take a look here at her octopus mode, I've got to say that first impressions, although it looks fantastic, I am a little let down by it, as of course in the animation she did have a drastically different face than what we get here with this, as of course this is just a carryover from Tentakill. So if they maybe would have altered the face, I perhaps would have liked this slightly more than I do. But you can see that just in terms of a comparison, this was by far my favourite out of the Seacon set, so I was always going to like this figure either way. I think that the paintwork too has also come out really nicely here with the gold for the majority of the face, as well as her massive pink lips. You can see that we've got some silver paint there for the teeth, which certainly look incredibly menacing. Her massive head, as well as of course all of these different tentacles coming here off to the sides. The front ones here, due to these being the robot mode arms, are indeed articulated, and we've also got some details here such as the suckers on these tentacles as well, which I think really does look rather awesome. So of course, let's get her transformed up into robot mode and see what awaits us there. And so taking a look at her here in her robot mode, I can confirm that she does indeed have new tooling. She does have a brand new head sculpt, as well as an entirely brand new chest plate, which is fantastic, as of course this set for the most part has just been repaints. You can see that here for the head, it is a lot more feminine in terms of its design than what we got with Tentakill. Of course, I'll bring him out later on in the review for a comparison. Or was Tentakill a female as well? I'm not entirely sure, but you can see that certainly where the chest piece is concerned, this is completely brand new. Although we've got some new tooling to this figure, I've got to say that she has one of the blandest looking robot modes. For the most part, she is just grey and white plastic with some gold highlights, so that certainly to me isn't eye pleasing. But of course, this is accurate to the source material, so I can't really complain all that much. Bringing out Tentakill here for a comparison, you can see here in what I was stating earlier on in regards to the difference there for the head sculpts, as well as the differences here in the torso. When I did actually transform her for the first time, I thought, oh no, she has the exact same head sculpt, as upon first glance they do look very similar. However, I can assure you that this is an entirely new sculpt, and we can also certainly see here for the chest piece that that too is also brand new. She does also have brand new legs as well, which once again I was not expecting. I only thought that she had a new head sculpt, but you can see that the thighs, the knee pads, as well as the shins have been completely redesigned here for Sila, and of course here with Tentakill they are a lot more thicker and blocky, so definitely the highlight out of the wave in terms of new additional components. But for the rest of it, it is just a direct repaint. So without further ado, let's get her transformed up into her combined form form and take a look at God Neptune himself. And so now, finally, taking a look here at the combined modes, here we have King Poseidon / Piranacon compared here next to God Neptune, and unfortunately, all of the issues that I had with this figure still retain here with the combined form for God Neptune. Honestly, I do not know what Hasbro and Takara Tomy, mainly Takara Tomy in this instance, as this is a Takara Tomy more exclusive, are playing at. This figure is so loose and floppy, and once again, they have not learnt from their mistakes. This figure is barely standing up. Believe me, if I was to apply any of the accessories, such as the trident or the blaster, the figure would fall flat on its face. Now, of course, I don't have the chest piece here for Piranacon, as explained earlier on in the review. I have completely misplaced that chest unit, but you can see here that it would simply just peg onto the front. I've got to be honest and say that I think that the combined form looks fantastic. It is just merely the overall practicality of it is flawed massively. The ratchet joints, as well as the stiffness of some of the swivel joints, is just nowhere near strong enough to hold the weight of this figure. This is 4 Deluxes and 1 Voyager, so whilst not the biggest and the heaviest combiner we've ever got, it's certainly still a rather heavy figure, so it definitely should have been reinforced. My major issues with this figure are the swivel joints here at the thighs, and of course these ratchet joints, which are very stiff. It's just the give in between each joint. You can see there how it does wobble, and the same can also be said here for this ratchet joint. It shouldn't wobble. If they were very tight, then I would have probably no issues with this. The feet too are definitely not the securest. You can see that here for Sila, she simply does just not want to lock in whatsoever, and we also do get some rockiness here for this leg, so definitely not a very strong and stable combined form. But in terms of detail there for the head sculpt, I think that it looks really nice. You can see how we've got some green paint apps here for these fin sections on the face of God Neptune. Really nice silver paintwork, as well as green and red there for the eyes, the golden crest. These gold sections here on the chest plate have come out really nicely, and you can also see some nice sculpt work here. I do like the overall look of this combiner, I've got to be honest. It's just, as mentioned earlier on in the review, I think that the overall practicality of it is certainly incredibly flawed. So I guess that just about wraps up my review. I don't really have all that much else to say other than just to very quickly compare the weapons, and you can see that this figure just does not want to stand whatsoever. Let's just prop it up against the box. In terms of accessories, when combining all of the weapons, as you'll see in my Piranacon review, if you want to see the transformation, you do form a trident. Now, as this figure here is missing Lobclaw, we don't get the additional attachment here on the end like we did with the Piranacon, so just to compare it, we don't get this section. It maybe would have been nice if they could have packaged this in with this figure, as despite it not coming with that figure, I don't think it would have been too much to ask for this additional accessory. And of course, we do have some nice golden paint apps here for the trident with the green handle, and you can take the blaster and combine some of the weapons in this rather odd looking mashup. The rest of the accessories you are supposed to just attach and distribute throughout all of the various different ports. So overall, I guess that just about wraps up my review here for this figure. Another major letdown, and honestly, I should have just left it in the box, as I have no desire to display these characters here in their individual alt forms, despite me thinking that their individual alt forms are a little bit more stronger in terms of their overall durability. I just don't necessarily have all that much attachment to the characters, and I was really just looking for an awesome combiner. Piranacon here, in my opinion, seeing as these figures both share the same issues, is my personal favourite. I much prefer the colour scheme here for Piranacon than I do here for God Neptune. However, as mentioned earlier on in the review, if you did miss out on this Seacon set, then this figure here is a nice way to just get those figures into the collection, albeit with different paint apps and of course different names, but of course the molds for the most part are exactly the same. Unfortunately, we still do get the QC issues here for the combined form. However, DNA Design, I do know, are coming out with an upgrade kit here for King Poseidon, so I'm pretty sure they will recolor it here for God Neptune. I hope that you enjoyed this comparison video and that it was helpful for you to decide on whether or not you should pick this figure up, as it is a Takara Tomy more exclusive. The prices range between £180 to £200 here in the UK, so I'm unsure as to how much that would translate to across seas. However, for me, I don't think that it was worth the £180/£200 price point, so if it is above that, then definitely I would suggest missing this figure out. I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then.